Yo, yo, what is up, digital creators? We're back for another episode. We're in the stew with Francis
Yo, what's good?
and Calvin,
Joe, what's going on?
aka Cowboy Calvin. And Calvin, EISSENS, aka Cowboy Calvin, is a Perth-based stylist. Calvin's styling work is influenced by the fluid nature of the 70s glam rock scene mixed with formal wear, tying in relaxed color palettes and vintage silhouettes. Calvin is currently balancing freelancing, where in the last 12 months he's worked for local retailers and music artists, and he's currently balancing that with working retail at Doc Martens. I'm stoked to have him in the studio. And we're also joined by Francis.
The one, the only.
Yes, sir. Francis over here. Francis is an alternative hip-hop artist and has also jumped on for some yarns.
Yes, sir.
Let's go. Yeah, but for real, Calvin, so how did you jump into the styling scene? What was that about? Take us back.
Take it back. Ooh.
Take us back to where it all began.
Yeah, right. It started maybe 2 years ago or something like that. I always wanted to be like Fitpic famous on Instagram. I'm sure a lot of people wanted to be as well. You've got the likes of the sausage lords of the world and stuff like that. Shout out Annie. So when I was in high school or something like that, I wanted to take fit pics and wanted to blow up on Instagram. Me and my friend Francis right here, we'd oh shit, we closed now. we'd go, at 3 a.m. after work and stuff like that. I try to work at my hardest and try and juggle, the Fitpic saga and stuff like that. And then I started a TikTok page, and I used to do a lot of 6-second fits and stuff like that. And it started to blow up a little bit more. Not blow up, but 3-4K views, and then it jumped to 10K and stuff like that.
Sheesh.
And then I got contacted through now a really good friend of mine, Peter Hayes, which was a photographer in TikTok. And he invited me to his After Dark book launch, which was at the start of this year in January or February. And we just had a chat and had a yarn and stuff like that. And he was like, hey man, do you want to do some work together? And I was gassed. I didn't really know what styling was back then. Yeah. And then that's how it kind of took off. We had our first shoot in February, and that's how it took off. And now I've just been grinding ever since, trying to work with as many Perth people and brands as possible. But it's been a really good experience so far.
Yeah, man, collaboration is a huge key in getting to where you want to go.
For sure.
Especially in places like Perth, we're kind of a bit sprawled out, but with social media, especially TikTok, I found myself collaborating, connecting with more sort of like-minded people, and it's super helpful. TikTok was a big one. So you just kind of put yourself out there through that platform, and you started to get a few views and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I actually started with aesthetic videos and stuff like that. I made 10-second videos of Francis and all my friends and stuff. We'd go on little adventures when I was 18 or something. And just take videos of that. And then I started to want to kind of just show off my style a little bit more, because my Instagram was dead. No one was liking my stuff, stuff like that. And then, I guess people through TikTok, with the audience it can grab, it just started to get sent out there, and, people sent around to each other and stuff like that. And, TikTok's been a massive thing, I think, for a lot of creatives as well. Definitely jumping on a TikTok, especially when I first started.
100%. Yeah, I tell everybody, if you want to get yourself out there or get work in your niche, just post content around it.
Yeah, just keep posting content.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you still posting on TikTok at the moment, or where's most of your work going?
After I was posted on TikTok for a very long time, and then I obviously started to get a lot more work through Instagram and photographers and stuff. So I stuck mainly with Instagram, but every now and then I'll kind of post a Fitpic or something like that, a Fitpic video. But mainly I just kind of stick through Instagram, and TikTok was more of just a platform I could use to leap to another and bigger, better thing.
Yeah. Because nowadays with social media, Instagram, the reach, it's just not as good. Yeah. But I don't know, I've gotten to a point, I think maybe because I've done the whole TikTok thing and gotten to a number that I'm cool. I now I don't really care about the likes or the views too much. I got into that place.
Yeah.
But yeah, TikTok, like if you want to get out there, TikTok, but Instagram, it's good for a portfolio, I guess.
Instagram's all my portfolio work, and TikTok, yeah, once you get to the certain amount of likes, like it just doesn't really mean much anymore. And I wanted to focus more on, you know, the new passion I had. So definitely Instagram is my portfolio kind of work.
Yeah.
For sure.
And you originally like styled yourself, and that's how you got, like, how did you get into fashion? You're just like into it and you styled yourself and you wanted to post fit pics sort of thing. That's pretty much it.
It was literally just through Instagram. Obviously with the fit pics, you had to style yourself for that type of stuff.
Yeah.
And then through the TikTok, I would just be, you know, just about to go run out the door and something like that.
Yeah.
And I'd like just put up my camera and just like do a little video, add a sound on it, and just dip to work or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically just styling myself, and then it progressed to over time of where it just became a bit hard, and everyone kind of don't want to be that guy that always posted himself and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Very not much what I was after, and I just decided to, when I caught up with friends or something like that, I'd be like, wait, can I just put you in this and take a photo?
Yeah,
it was just a lot
sick,
easier for me.
Sick.
And like as we've talked about, I'm very much like I want my work to show for itself, and I had to take away my image on social media for that to work.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a lot easier because I can work with a lot more Perth creatives now. I've worked with heaps of people that I've just met through the scene, and it's really cool. Like you've got like musicians, you've got like Annie who takes fit pics, people who work at Cabinet Noir or something like that. I'm always just trying to take fits of them and that type of stuff.
Yeah, true. And where do you sort of source most of your clothing? Because I know that's a big part of styling is like sourcing and getting the gear. Do you kind of have brands in mind, or is it more sort of like a aesthetic that you have in mind and you go maybe thrifting or that sort of thing?
In the earlier days, it was 100% thrifting. I mean, to source clothes, you have to build reports with brands, and you have to be in the business for a bit longer to do that. So, you know, when I was first starting, I was hitting the thrift almost like every weekend trying to find stuff. I'd always be thrifting, spending all my like money from retail to find new stuff. And then it get to a point where it wasn't, I couldn't find the pieces I really wanted. There was only such a selection, and I didn't have enough money to buy, you know, pieces from those big brands in Perth or any stuff like that.
Yeah.
I love like Gucci and stuff like that, but there's no way I was going to afford that. So at start, it was, you know, working with what you've got, and I think that's a massive thing. A lot of people think like really, really long term ahead, and they're like, oh, but like I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that. Like I want to style Gucci, I want to do that. And it's like, well, you don't have any portfolio, like which I didn't at the time. I only had TikTok, so I had to do with what you've got, and I think that's a big thing, just dealing with what you've got and making it work.
Yeah, for sure.
And then obviously that builds over time, where now I've built, working in the industry for a bit, I've built rapport with brands, and I can pull some pieces and stuff like that, which is always makes my job a little bit easier. Yeah.
And it sounds like it's been pretty recent. Like was it only over the last 12 months or something like that, or have you been at it for a couple of years?
So
to like break into the scene, because like now,
I
feel like a lot of people, creative people, sort of
with breaking into the scene. I think I didn't really have my mind set on one thing. It's been different times when I've been growing up where I want to take this. So when I was first starting off, I would say over a course of 2 years, maybe it would be about 2 years, I'd say. And then it's only been throughout maybe this last 6 months. So I did my first proper styling shoot in February this year.
And who was that with?
That was with the Peter Hayes.
Okay.
Yeah, so very much, he very much took me under his wing with that, and kind of showed me the ins and outs of the business, and he's just been like a massive help with how I wanted to take this direction and stuff like that. But yeah, that was my first shoot. If you keep scrolling down, it was definitely interesting. It was a lot of fun. No, keep going down. All the way down. I've put too much work out. Keep going. Yeah, keep going.
So this is it says like 7 months ago. So you can actually see the date when you've done it as well, which is cool.
That's Francis.
Your boy Francis over there.
Me.
Oh, it
Hey,
actually,
Francis has actually modelled for you a few times.
that actually might be a bit further up then. It was only in February this year. It should there, right there in the middle. That one.
This one.
That was my
Oh,
first
that's pretty
shoot.
cool.
Yeah,
Was that with...
that was with Peter and Edel.
Yep.
Um,
oh, cool.
And
I love this. Yeah, I love this aesthetic.
Yeah, it was very much like when I was first starting out. So proper doing the styling stuff. It was very much. I loved a really nice preppy look, and all of that really comes from Gucci and stuff like that.
Mm.
But with these clothes here, they were all thrifted, so
Wow.
I couldn't pull anything.
That's a very nice blazer as well.
Yeah, it was. All of that was thrifted.
Yep.
If obviously I could go back in time and have the
Even
sourcing,
this...
all of it,
wow.
every single piece on there is thrifted, or through my girlfriend at the time. For the skirt, I think. But I had to make it work. I didn't have any rapport with any brands or anything, so all of that was thrifted. But you know, it's still like, I look back at it now and I'm still like, that was cool for the time I was and stuff like that. I'm still really happy with the shoot. Obviously, that's why I've kept it up. But it has
Dude, I like it. Yeah.
it's a lot of sentimental
Is there,
value to me.
is there more shots here?
Yep.
So can you describe your creative process in creating these looks? Obviously, before you went thrifting, or maybe with Peter, you were discussing a sort of style that you wanted to go for. And then
Peter and I literally just caught up for a coffee, and we kind of we set out like a 3-shoot plan of what we were going to do. So we wanted to lock in 3 shoots with each other, and this was one of the first shoots. It's a pretty wild one. With this, Peter and I, we very much try and think out the box as much as possible. There's also a video with this one as well. That would be on his page. But kind of, there's no one else really doing this type of stuff at the time with golfing, and I was obviously with the really preppy style. So with that, I instantly thought of, the golf and all those very high luxury kind of hobbies and stuff like that. And I was super into like Le Fleur and stuff like that by Tyler, which is very much this type of aesthetic.
golf, yeah.
So yeah, for the first time, it wasn't much. Obviously, there was a bit of creative stuff with it, but yeah, this was very much very easy for me to do. And Peter was just incredible at photography in this. It was insane. I was super happy.
How did you get, did you have to wash did you bleach out the whites? Because sometimes it's like hard to find whites, you know what I mean? But it looks very very clean whites.
Came up.
Yeah,
man.
So, but this
that is from, I actually got that when I was with Francis. That was the cricket sweater I got from Malaga Sammy's, Good Sammy's.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how many stores did you have to thrift to find?
For these outfits, I'd go to maybe like 3 or 4. I wouldn't.
Wow,
it's not much. I would be looking at every single rack though. I feel like that's something a lot of people don't do, especially a lot of teenagers and stuff. You're trying to find a cool fit and stuff like that. You got to look at every single rack, because there's always going to be that one piece that's just in there, and it's just going to be like, you'll never see it because it's in the back of the women's section or something like that.
So you spend because some people like me, when I'm thrifting, I'm like, rack, looking at quite fast. You're quite you're looking at everything, looking at
every single piece. And that was the struggle with it, because I couldn't afford anything else. That was like the make or break. I had to be within those 4 with those 4 salvos to find the piece. So I had to make it work. I say it all the time, but you just have to make it work.
Yeah, well,
even doing like DIY and stuff like that, like finding a collared shirt, cropping it. It's a crop shirt.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
that type
for
of stuff.
For sure.
You have to make it work, especially like starting in a creative industry. No one has any money.
Yeah,
you don't have any money. I was rolling around with maybe $80 in my account to try and find these pieces, and I'd spend all $80 on all these pieces, or I'd call up on friends like, "Hey man, can I borrow your shoes for this shoot?
Yeah.
Hey, can I borrow this shirt?" Stuff like that.
True.
Yeah, it's just it's a very big like love industry. So you got to build relations
bring
with
those connections,
people and connections and stuff like that. Yeah, but for sure you got to make it work with whatever you have.
Yeah, and what are your maybe top 5 tips for thrifting? What would you say?
See, I haven't thrifted. If I'm being honest, I haven't thrifted in maybe a couple months, because I've been able to pull from a couple other places. Top 5. All right. just go. I'll keep it like 3 or 4. Maybe
Yeah.
I don't think I can think of 5. Definitely checking every single rack. If you're a guy, look in the girl section. Girl, look in the guy section.
Facts.
That type of stuff, because you'll find some dope pieces. I found blouses and stuff like that is so hard that I love. Taking your time with it, put your headphones in. If you go to the salvos with the wrong kind of mindset and, you're not vibing out and stuff like that, have some tunes in your ears that's going to make the time go a little bit easier, a little bit slower, and go on a full stomach, because there's always a Macca's outside.
Yeah.
There's always a Macca's outside of salvos. So I remember just like being in salvos, looking out the window. I'm like, bloody hell, I'm so hungry.
So you got to like focus.
Yeah, just being focused. I mean, just having some sort of idea also helps, obviously. But if you don't have any idea at all, it makes it a little bit better, because you're looking for you're really open to everything. But literally, just it's not that big of a task.
Mm-hmm.
Just go in, get your stuff done. You'll find something you like for sure. And if you don't, oh well, go back another day. There's always another day.
And in Perth specifically, are there any, where are the hotspots in terms of thrifting? What locations? Because you guys are out sort of east, Malaga ways. I don't think I've thrifted out there. I thrift. I don't even thrift in Fremantle. I don't think it's that great. I thrift in Canning Vale.
Oh, Bentley. Bentley has a big ass salvos.
Bentley, all right.
Yeah, they have a really big one. Yeah.
There used to be a huge Salvos in Midland that was good, but it's not there anymore. But Bentley, all right, I'll check that out.
Yeah, it's like really massive. It's like basically a warehouse. So like a
Bentley.
big ass warehouse full of clothes.
So, yeah.
That's what me and all the boys used to find like some Gosha pieces there as well.
Sick.
It's amazing. It's just all you gotta do is like know your tags.
Yeah.
So if you know the right tags, like if you look at a Gildan,
Yeah.
most Gildans have like band tees printed on them.
Gildans are so fire.
Just as long as you find a Gildan when you're looking through like the thrifting, you're gonna find a piece there.
Yeah.
Then you know it's like, oh, it might be a band tee, and then you look at it, it's a band tee from like 1992.
So,
Yeah, so yeah.
Gildan pieces are always the best quality thrifts. Like really good material, like thick material. It's actually funny that you say Frio is not that good, because I'm gonna say Frio is my best thrift.
really?
Yeah, it's
Subi?
Hey,
Subiaco.
Subi's a little bit more
straight like.
Subi's a little bit more like boutiques and stuff like that. If we're talking like basic thrift, obviously Morley was always a really good one for me. Just outside of Morley Galleria, I kind of milked it a little bit.
Oh, actually, you know where I actually do thrift a lot and it's fire? Myrie, you got Vinnie's, a Save the Children's, a Salvos and a Sammy's within like 5-minute drive. Like, so just go bang, 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 bang.
Bam.
And I think it's a little bit out of where people normally go, so it's like that's a good spot there.
Yeah,
gatekeep
that.
Yeah, it's like the Myrie and then the Burragoon Sammy's is fire.
Burragoon's always pretty far from us, to be fair. I know I've seen a lot of TikToks when people say like South the River is always the best for thrifting, which is fine with me because I find everything North the River. So
South of the River has some fire pieces.
They do.
They have some fire pieces.
If you want high end stuff, the Mosman Park Cottesloe area. There's only like a couple.
Yeah.
They usually have, like I've seen. The only thing is, I feel like thrifts these days they're like onto the brands now more than ever. Like stuff is priced up.
Bring the price up,
and they're like
definitely defeats the whole purpose of it, I think.
Yeah.
And I think TikTok has a lot to do with that. It
100%,
is.
yeah.
It's a tough one. It's a tough cookie. You got to think you are giving to a charity at the same time, but the charity was also for people who could, can't really ever go to the, Myers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like affordable clothing, which is also a great thing. So I think if you're one of those people that thrift every single day to find stuff, chill out a little bit.
Yeah.
Chill out a little bit.
But then again, it's also like, with TikTok and stuff like that, everybody wants to like find good thrifts.
Yeah.
So back when we were thrifting in like 2020, when the pandemic, just before the pandemic happened, there was everything there. Like my boys would go to the store and then find like Ed Hardy pieces there.
Yeah.
So now nothing's there.
It is a bit drying up at the moment. But if I ever have like a free day off or something, I always just like go to the thrift and give them a coffee or something like that. So it's quite therapeutic.
It is. It's like if it's usually something that I do on the way to or from something.
Yeah.
Then it's like hit up a few on the way, but yeah.
Would you prefer like Good Sammys or like Vinnies?
I would say
Tough one.
I would say Sammy's. Vinny's definitely jacks up that price a lot. Sammy's, it always comes through. I think the spot you were talking about, is that a Sammy's, the big warehouse?
I think it is a Sammy's because there's also Vinnies next to each other because they're always like right next to each other and everything.
Yeah, I feel like Sammy's is definitely more chill, and I always find more stuff at Sammy's. They've got more items there. I think because people maybe know Sammy's more than Vinny's, possibly something like that. They always drop stuff there, so I find Sammy's, yeah.
Fair enough. And
with you were talking about like brands that you're sort of into. You mentioning Gucci and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like why do you like Gucci personally? Because like I know a lot of people like Gucci because it's like it's sort of a very well known brand, like high end, expensive brand. I love the Gucci bags, but what's like your reason for liking Gucci?
There are like the two different types of Gucci buyers. You've got obviously the Gucci hat buyers, and then the very much the fluid Gucci buyers. I think growing up, a massive inspiration to me was, that 70s glam rock period of like the Rolling Stones and all that type of stuff. So I kind of fell in love with that style first, and then I'll be like, where can I get these pants from? Or, where are they pulling this inspiration from? And then I would find, like Gucci and stuff like that. So it's always just been a massive, like, I know from my day one brand, the first brand I fell in love with was Gucci. Just for the silhouettes, the colors, it's just incredible to me.
So you can actually like appreciate the stylistic choices that go into like the branding and the garments, and
I love every bit about it.
Do you think it deserves that price tag for the quality?
To be honest, I don't think any of those brands deserve the price tag for the quality. I know it might be rough for me to say that.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, they're just clothes. And for me as a stylist, clothes are meant to be worn.
Yeah.
I don't think they're worth that price, but I can still, I don't think, that mansion is worth that price, but people still buy it, and I can still appreciate it. And I've appreciated everything Gucci's ever put out. I like every piece. I watch every runway. It's just incredible. I just can't. If I could style one thing for the rest of my life, it would be Gucci. It doesn't really look like it because I'm wearing a Butter Goods hoodie. But that's just the difference between, my personal style and how I style people. Yeah. With my personal style, it's super casual. Yep. When I get up in the morning and I have a shoot, it's one less thing I have to worry about. Yeah. It's just literally like just chuck on a hoodie, chuck my hat on, and off I go. But with my personal style, it's definitely, with my people I like to style, it's definitely Gucci and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think style's also about just being comfortable, and I guess with the style you're sort of wearing, you're not making yourself the main character. Like when you're going out to work and you're styling people, you're like, I want you to be the main character.
Of course, yeah.
So, yeah, and it kind of also ties into you mentioning, putting your work before yourself. Yep. Kind of ties into that factor.
100%.
As well.
Yeah.
And I think it is super important to put your work before yourself, because I see a lot of influencers, putting themselves out there, kind of, I guess you can get caught in that sort of trend of wanting more likes, wanting more views and that sort of thing. But when you're an artist or a creative and you actually have a skill, and you really want that skill to come first, because if someone's hiring you, they're not going to hire you because you're Cowboy Calvin with 1 million followers. They're going to be like, yo, he's very skilled at styling.
Yeah, 100%. It's it's the age-old question of everyone always asks, what does he look like and stuff like that. Or like, why don't you post yourself, or why don't you ever dress up in how you style people and stuff like that. But yeah, it's just I really want my work to speak for myself. And I want people to fall in love with my work before, they start to like me even. I want people to look at my profile and be like, wow, that's good styling. Who's done this? Yeah. And it's happened that I really like that. And I've met people out and about, and I actually quite like, people not knowing who I am. I'm a very low key person. The past couple of years I've become really low key, Yeah. I don't have any social media except Instagram and TikTok. And I don't even post myself on Instagram. So I like that people really gravitate towards my work and like my work. And I know it's because of my work and not for who I am as a person. And then that's when, I can build a relation with someone. Just like you, I only met you, how long ago?
Like a couple of weeks ago. Jargon launch was.
Yeah, Jargon launch. And a lot of people there don't even know who I was either until, you know, you bring up the fact that you're this person or something like that.
Yeah, and if you think about like the big designers like Izzy Miyake or Mason Margiela and stuff like, they're very anti putting
Mason Margiela, no one
yeah.
even knows what
Yeah.
they look like.
No one knows his face.
Rumor has it, that there's no photo of him in existence. I think they might be a couple. Might be one.
Isn't it in the 80s or something, that photo?
We're going to post it up right now.
It's gonna be right here.
But yeah, they're very low key, and I think again, it's just putting their design.
And Mason Margiela speaks for itself, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I am not also against people. You know, if you're a stylist or creative and you post yourself, completely up to you. Personal brand, build that personal brand.
Yeah.
I've had 100 people tell me, you need to post yourself.
Yeah.
Find the personal brand.
100%.
Yeah, you do you, I'll do me. I'm all for power of the people and power to you. You do whatever makes it work for you.
Yeah.
And it's been a really fun experience so far, and it's worked for me so far.
Yeah.
So, you know, obviously I'm jumping onto this podcast today, showing my face. I mean, some people know what I look like and stuff like that, but
damn, son, where'd you find this?
Shout out to Digital Creators Podcast. But yeah, no, I want to start doing stuff like this more often. But yeah, man, yeah.
I was gonna say, in my personal journey as a photographer, like I never put myself out there, but in terms of connecting with people, I kind of had to show the face behind the brand, like with the way social media was going and getting yourself out there, like TikTok and YouTube. I would have to, post behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And with my branding, I had to consciously create myself as a character. I'm a photographer.
Yeah.
Show myself as a photographer. I've kind of got it to the point, as I was saying, where I can step back, and now when I do start, I've been a bit quiet, but when I do start posting again, it's going to be more just my work, and I just want my work I'm at that place where I can let my work speak for myself.
Yeah.
So I've gone and I've put myself out there, bang, some people know who I am, get your work out there, and now step back, boom. So you can play around with both.
100%. It's very much like Frank Ocean, you talk about his early years in Odd Future and stuff like that, and even for, he was everywhere in the media, I think, mostly. He even did a couple of interviews one-on-one, he was with Odd Future and they were always putting out stuff. And then, he took some time off, really worked on his stuff, and now he's put music out and he's chilling, he's living his life. And that's what I like to do as well, I like to post my image, do my work, go live my life.
Exactly. I think some people forget that that's kind of the end goal. It's not to have yourself sort of out there. As a creative, I want to have the lifestyle of creating what I want to create, but it doesn't mean I necessarily have to become some public figure. And if I'm happy with that, then that's what I'm going to
whatever makes you happy, go and live your life, do your stuff.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Digital Creators Podcast, we are dropping knowledge bombs.
Boom, boom, boom. Motivational. Motivational speak.
Yes, sir. But talking about Golf Wang and Tyler, the creator, I can kind of see Golf LaFleur's influence in your styling style. He's also very much kind of reinterpreted vintage in a contemporary way. And I think, Tyler's just a genius in how he's got his own style. And, he's put that into both music and now fashion. And I think it's just really cool.
Definitely a massive influence to me and a lot of people I know. But, definitely a massive, early influence. You've got, I'm wearing a Golf Wang hat, for God's sake. I wear this every day. But, definitely a massive influence, when we first started doing my stuff. Yeah. And still an influence to this day. Obviously, I've had time to, have that personal style. And obviously, my first shoot was super Golf Wang. Mm-hmm. And now I've gotten, past that and I'm found my own way to style. But from the origins, obviously, T was massive. Yeah. That type of stuff.
For sure.
And just being yourself, man. Finding, your true identity and stuff, as cliche as that shit sounds. Yeah. Finding that also really helps. So I've also found a lot of who I am now is through experiences I've had and all that type of stuff. So finding your own identity before you go find someone else's, I think, is a massive thing. That was super motivational and cute as fuck.
You need some
Damn, son,
Damn.
where'd you find this?
That was
Oh,
cute
shit.
as fuck.
The laugh. Round of applause. And like, what's your creative process when styling for like somebody? Like, could be for a photo shoot or a music video. Obviously, you have to tie it in with their direction, but you also want to, I guess, are you expressing a little bit of your taste in it, or you're like, this is their thing, let me style it to like what they want, and like how do you go about that?
It all very much depends on who you're working with. If you're working for a client, you very much they are hiring you because of your styling abilities or how you style. So there's got to be something there. It all depends on the brief they give you. So I just did a music video recently, and they gave me, a 6-scene brief for the music video, and there were certain fits and colors they wanted, and that makes my job 100 times easier.
Yeah, good brief. Shout out to people who give out good creative briefs.
Good briefs. So that always helps. But if I'm just doing like a creative shoot with someone, or even like anything like that, it's fully up to as long as you're sitting with the person, who owns the clothes or the model, and just spitballing ideas. I mean, styling and creative direction is a little bit different. I like to have creative direction in styling and stuff, but I'm always open to, people like, how about you put the glasses on? I'm like, yeah, do that, whatever.
Yeah.
The final shot is I decide yes or no.
And it's still like, you're still passionate about that sort of styling, even though you're not making 100% of creative decisions. You're like, I want to style to the best of my ability for this.
Yeah, that's
product.
That's what we get hired for.
Yep.
The music video, they hired me out to style this person, and I was like, for sure, I'm going to put 100% of what I can into it.
Yeah, you're like removing yourself.
Yeah, removing yourself from it, because at the end of the day, all I've wanted to be is a stylist and style people. So if you're giving me a brief and you want me to do this, I'm going to do it to the best of my ability, even if it's not my style. With a stylist, I feel like you should have quite a good understanding of most styles. You've got your style you prefer to work with, you've got your personal style, and then you've got to have 100 different others to cater for everyone. If you're a stylist and you've got one personal style and you stick to that, you very much put yourself in a box. Yeah. And I hate putting myself into a box. So I'm always open to different styles, even though they might not be my style or I might not agree with it. It's my job. You've got to be good at it. It's like being a musician and legit. I mean, a lot of musicians just do one genre, but you got to be kind of fluid with it. You have to have at least an understanding of other ones. Yeah. For sure.
Yeah, that's exactly how I operate with my photography. Like,
for sure.
I got my own sort of Instagram, but then I got my business sort of side of things. And if a client wants sort of thing, I'm still enjoy it, because like I'm making the creative decisions to cater for what they want.
You can still have your flair on that image as well, like
exactly.
They'll hit you with, I want this car shot.
Boom. I know what to do.
I know what to do.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's like basically you're featuring on, like, when you do a feature for a song like that.
Yeah, basically you're featuring on it. You have a little bit of input, but
not necessarily the main character.
No, you have to remove yourself from the work, and I think that's always been super easy for me because I've always done that. Yeah. But removing yourself from the work and making sure your client's happy, and at the end of the day, dude, that's awesome. You made your client happy. You got a styling gig. Dope. Yeah. Sick.
For sure. Yeah. And have you found, like, trying to find like work as a stylist in Perth? Because say if we look at New York or just America in general, or maybe like Paris or these bigger known cities, Melbourne, there's more productions happening there. There's more shows happening there. There's, I guess, more artists that maybe don't have time to style themselves for shoots or shows or whatever. And obviously it's been even more difficult over COVID, like no festivals or shows or much happening. But you must have found it like pretty difficult being here in Perth.
Yeah, of course. Like, obviously being from Perth and being like Francis and I from the east suburbs, so we're very much away from a lot of things. Took us like 50 minutes to get here.
His house is big as hell.
His house is massive.
Shout out Perth traffic.
Shout out Perth traffic. But yeah, obviously it's very much, again, as I say, if you want to make it work, you got to make it work. It's obviously there's been ups and downs. There's been so many times, I've gotten to the car with Francis. We've picked each other up and stuff, and I'm like, I hate fashion and I'm going to quit.
Mm.
Like, this is so hard. It's just so tough. There's not enough work here. There's not enough people that want to do it. There's not an industry for it. But once you put yourself in that mindset, that stuff starts to exist. And, you know, it's very much like the small fish, big pond. I mean, big fish, small pond kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, if you were to go to Melbourne to do this stuff, there's already a bigger group of people doing that, but that means there's more competition.
Yeah.
If you come to Perth, there's a smaller group of people, but there's a, you know what I mean? That type of stuff.
It's easy to make a name for yourself.
It is easy.
Perth.
So you got to find the positives from it. You have to find the positives from it. I can sit here all day and say how annoying it is to come from Perth, but you got to be grateful for where you come from, and just don't stop trying.
Yeah.
Just don't stop, because you know there's people out there that want it more than you, and it's one of those things. Yeah.
And even though I've talked to a lot of creatives on this podcast about being in Perth, it's more difficult, but then it's almost like you become a stronger sort of creative because you're, you know, using what you have and developing your creative skills. So then if you do go to a more like a place where there's more happening in the creative scene, it's actually easier to adapt, because it's like sort of becomes easier putting yourself out there, and like
once you've had nothing here for it, you know, when you go over there,
work with nothing.
Yeah, you can work with honestly nothing. I've had to work with just thrifting in Perth isn't the greatest. You know, thrifting in Melbourne's insane. Yeah. So knowing that I made it work here, I know I can make it work anywhere in that type of sense. If you can make it work here, you can make it work anywhere. So, yeah. And also don't be too harsh on yourself. Everyone knows it's tough coming up in a creative business, especially in a very small town like Perth, compared to, you know, the Parises and stuff like that. Definitely don't be too harsh on yourself and just keep going. Like Francis and I know a lot of people that have stopped in a creative field because it got too hard and the excuses rolled in because I'm from Perth and stuff like that. Yeah. And the wasted potential with it. Yeah. But, you know, you're going to have your ups and downs. Like I said, I've had so many times where I'm like, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm going to go back to construction, you know.
I'm the same way.
Yeah. Like there's been so many times where we could have easily quit. But just knowing that, like I think Tom Hanks said this. It's like when you're feeling really low, you know what I'm talking about? Yeah. When you're feeling really low, that will pass, you know. And
this shall pass.
That shall pass. Yeah. But when you're feeling super high and super happy, that also shall pass. Yeah. There's going to be times where you're super low. It's going to suck heaps. Yeah. But just know that will get better. And there's going to be times where you're super happy. You think you know what you're doing. It's going to get super low again. Bam.
Even with me, like, have you ever seen the J. Cole documentary?
I have not.
Oh, you got to watch that, because he basically, during the documentary, he was talking about how he had an intervention with his friends, and his friends came up to him and talked to him, and he was like, yeah, you're doing something with your life right now, but you're not really going anywhere. And they had that conversation, and something clicked in his head, and he started thinking, like, I don't want to be the reason why I didn't pass, why I didn't make it. I don't want, when I'm older, to look back and say, oh, I really could have made it if I would have tried harder. Yeah. So you got to give everything 100%, because you don't want to look in the future and be like, oh, if I had just gone to that one photo shoot, if I had just gone to this one studio session, if I had just like went to this one place, I would have met the right people. You can't give that excuse, because everything's on you. Like, you know what I'm saying? You live by yourself. You live for yourself. You were born for yourself. So you got to work hard for you.
Damn. Yeah, no, that's 100% true. Like, I think as young creators, we're like, you just got to rely on yourself. But then as you start coming up, it's all about more like collaboration and like putting yourself out there. But at the end of the day, all you have is you. So you got to like work hard at it. And I think even in the Perth scene, I think there definitely is a market for you to become a full-time stylist, because as you said, there's actually not much competition here. Like there's no one that I know that's like branding themselves as stylists, like sort of in the modern contemporary way with like social media and that sort of thing. And if you think about sort of like all the artists coming and that sort of thing, that's going to be coming through on for like festivals and that, like who's the stylist to go to? I don't know. Like you're the only person I know. So
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there have been stylists in Perth before, and they've moved to Melbourne and Sydney and stuff, and that's obviously something I really want to do as well. But I am really soaking it up in Perth. Like I really do love this city. I know I talk shit about it quite a lot, but there's always competition out there. I'm not going to sit here and be like, there's no competition for me. Like, I don't think I'm the greatest. It's so much work I need to do and so much experience I need. I still am not at, I'm about like 60% right now. And I know I can get better and I want to get better, hence working with heaps of creatives. And there's a massive stigma that creatives are really mean. Like, people want to help you.
No, they're mean.
People
mean.
People want to help you. I've met a lot of people in the industry that I'm always super scared of. I'm like, oh my God.
Especially like, I think the fashion scene has that stigma, but I think it's coming away.
It is very much coming away because there's people collaborating. And that's when I first started, and what I do now, I'm collaborating with just everyone in Perth. Like Annie, so many people. I just love showing the Perth love. Because
I remember like when we were growing up, and you know, we were looking at all these people like blowing up in fashion. We used to call them like the vampiric overlords of Perth, because they were very much like their own cult, you know. And when you break that mold and start to actually enter that sort of field, you're like, oh wow, they're really cool people. They're really chill. They're down to earth. Yeah, I think
we all have this sort of facade on social media. Like, I branded myself like this. I want to look like this, but then like it's all marketing. Like in reality, we all just want to like collab and stuff like that.
We all just want to be like the best version, so we put that out there. So, but yeah, if like more advice, if you're trying to come up, just try and link with as many people as possible.
Yeah,
like just
shoot out some DMs. I
was supposed to go to Sydney earlier this year.
Are you going to talk about that one?
Yeah, I'm going to talk about that one. Wow. To put work out there. And I really wanted to do it, and I was going to see Peter over there. And long story short, plans fell through, and I couldn't go. And I got into a hella sad state. I was so sad about that. And then it kind of switched to me. I sent about maybe 1,000 DMs and about 400 emails because I was just chilling by myself.
True.
And I was like, you know what? If I'm not going to be working, I'm going to work from here. About 998 of those I got left unopened or delivered, and 2 of those I got opened by some insane people.
Really?
Some really cool people. I got to speak to the owner of Marnie, Francisco Risso.
Whoa.
And that to me was just insane.
Yeah.
And you know, if I never shot that message out there, I would never know.
Damn, yeah.
Like, this is a creative director of a humongous brand in Europe somewhere. And we had a chat.
Was it from an IG DM or an email?
IG DM.
Whoa.
He has
crazy.
Like maybe a couple mil on Instagram, I think. IG DM. I sent him a message. I said, "G'day."
G'day, Calvin.
G'day. I would really love to have a chat with you. Like, I've got some questions I really want answered, and I think you're a really cool person. So, and just like that, we talked. We set up a call. So I Zoomed him. There was a massive language barrier because I think he only speaks Italian and a little bit of English. And because I'm Australian as well, it was a bit hard for him.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, you got to shoot your shot. Like, and you have to learn how to take rejection is a massive thing in creative industry, whether it's music, people not liking your music, people not liking your photography, people not liking my styling. You have to learn that type of stuff. It's really subjective, just like art.
Yeah.
So learning how to take those L's is also a massive thing. But don't let that put you down, for sure. Because I've had a lot of people hate my work. God, so many people.
Yeah.
But I keep rolling, you know.
What, in haters in the comments or what?
You know, when I was first starting to do this, I had a lot of people, you know, take the piss out of me. Like, styling wasn't.
Oh yeah, especially in like the culture. Yeah.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
Not many, even if you're a little bit into fashion, you're going to be looking a little bit strange because you're not wearing thongs and boardies.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I'm super Australian guy. I grew up in a really Australian home. I have pretty Australian friends. So as soon as you put, you know, Converse on or something, or, you know, something like that, you get like homophobic comments and stuff like that.
Interesting.
Which is it's really odd. I mean, I hope they get better, whatever. I hope that culture changes. But yeah, it's
No, it is really.
It's odd.
interesting.
It's really odd.
Well, I think it's just the fact that, you know, when you're dressed different, you're seen as different. But like I like never get that because I think I'm just hanging out with creative people.
Yeah, for sure.
But if I think just starting out and maybe like, you know, you go through maybe different friends, like maybe when you're just starting out, it is difficult because maybe your circle doesn't know anything about fashion and that sort of thing.
God.
So if you come wearing pants that are a little too baggy or wide or flared or whatever, they're going to be like, oh, what is it? So weird. But if you surround yourself with creatives, they're kind of like more used to that.
For sure. And obviously you're going to have friends. Like a lot of my friends also aren't into fashion as well. You don't have to just hang out with creative people, but it always helps. I had to obviously dropped a couple friends because, you know, they took the piss out of me, or you had to leave certain groups of people. You know, if you're going to change yourself, you want your friends. Your friends aren't there because you're a stylist. Yeah. Your friends are there because they're your mates. So definitely surrounding myself with, you know, obviously creatives in the scene has helped me a lot as well because very like-minded. But yeah, just try to surround yourself with better people and people who accept you for who you are.
Even on that point right there, like, I remember, like, when I was growing up in school and stuff like that, I used to do the fashion a little bit, some modeling and stuff like that. And people used to take the piss. And it's really crazy because people after that will come back and be like, yo, how do you get into this fashion scene?
Oh, my God.
And they come back and they ask you again, and now they're comfortable sharing how they truly feel about the actual creative you know, aspects of doing things. So stuff like that for me is really full circle because the amount of people that used to hate on me on some like, oh, like, it's really weird that he's doing this fashion scene. Yeah. And especially, you know, growing up, going to private school, you know how, like, you know, everybody would react to you wearing certain things and certain colorways or putting on makeup to go do a runway. Yeah. You know, everybody's like, nah, like, what are you doing? And then now they're all like, oh, yeah, like, how do you really get into this fashion thing? Like, I really want to get into it. I don't hold any grudges, so it's okay. Like, if you want to get into it, I'm always available to have this conversation, but just don't really care. It doesn't matter.
Damn, bro, how'd you get on the Digital Creators podcast, man? Like, it's crazy. You're really up there, man. No, for sure. Like, that's something actually we don't cover too much. I haven't covered too much on here, but yeah, like, your social circle is a huge part of, like, your development, especially as a creative. And now, like, I'm at a place where, like, I'm surrounded by creative people, always bouncing ideas. The events I go to are more sort of like creative, so you meet more like-minded people. And I think it is also about just like knowing yourself more, just like learning about yourself, and that influences your style. And once you know who you are, you know like what type of people you want to sort of surround yourself with.
For sure. You should have seen back in high school when I would like post a fit pic and then go on to school the next day. It was like the apocalypse.
What happened?
Oh, just the absolute ridicule.
The hate, bro.
You know, posting like I'd have maybe one too many chains on, or like my pants would be like a bit weird.
Or you have a pink shirt on.
Or you have a pink shirt.
Like, oh, wow.
And like knowing I'd post that at like 8 p.m. that night, and knowing at school the next day, people were just going to like just bully me. It was so funny to think about now.
What He's 6'4", so he's okay.
Hey?
You're 6'4", so you're okay.
I'm not 6'4".
He's 6'4".
I'm not 6'4". Stand on my money. I'm 6'4". What's up with that? Honestly, that was year 12. I graduated.
Honestly,
2019.
Yeah, because back then it's not. I guess like Instagram's been around for a minute, but just having sort of everyday person post fit pics, it was a strange thing to do back then. Yeah,
especially when like because year 12, I had absolutely no like social status or Instagram or stuff like that. You know, you don't have anything to back yourself with it, so it's weird and all that type of stuff. But like, yeah, weird days.
I think it's going to be the most normal. Well, it sort of is normal now with like, I mean, even the concept of just posting photos of yourself or even videos of yourself, like. As someone who has like a YouTube channel, so weird to like just have a YouTube channel like back in the day or whatever. But now everybody's like doing little vlogs on TikTok and that sort of thing. So it's
TikTok's
crazy.
Been massive for that. Yeah. Like I know so many like people that post fit pics now, and I doubt they would get ridiculed for it because it's a little bit more popular thing. And I'm glad that's happened, so no one can feel how it feels like to be ridiculed.
Yeah.
It's nice. It's cool. But yeah, definitely a self like experience kind of thing. It makes you who you are kind of thing. Because if you can go to school every day after posting fit pics and just get the piss taken out of you, you get thick skin. So
Yeah.
No, it's cool. It's cool.
And what's kind of on the horizon for you? Like, I guess it can be stuff that's actually booked in, or can it be like your plan for the next year? Like, what do you want to do, or you want to just keep collaborating, or?
At the moment, I am, just keep on collaborating. I'm going to Sydney and Melbourne in the end of November. So there's a lot of work over there for me with some specific magazines and stuff like that I'm really keen to release. I can't wait to do some styling for that. And just really cool people I've met online and that type of stuff. It should be really cool. But right now, I do think extremely short term. I do have long term goals, but thinking short term works a little bit easier for me. Especially within like a styling sense. Take every shoot as it is. And then you learn a lot after shoots. All the time I learn something new after shoots and stuff like that.
Yeah, 100%. And I think recently you had a little article about yourself in the Fashion Journal magazine.
Yeah.
That's pretty dope. So how did that come about, and like how did it all...
I literally just got a message from someone who followed me on Instagram that I'd just followed like just short time before. And they wanted to cover, I think, 11 creatives and how they cultivate their signature style. And literally they were just like, we want to write a little thing about that. What's your signature style, stuff like that.
So did they find you on Instagram? Sorry.
They found me on Instagram. Yeah, one of their journalists messaged me on Instagram just saying, like, this is what it is. Would you like to be featured? And I was like, of course. Yeah, that'd be dope as. That'd be so sick. I think I'm a little bit further down the bottom. I think Annie's on here as well. But yeah, no, it was super cool. And it's really cool to be there we are. It's really cool to be recognised for some work. Was really, really sweet. So there's your boy.
Calvin. So Calvin EISSENS, he, him, stylist and creative director. Is that a selfie?
That is a selfie. That took me a long time to do. I am not a camera guy. Everyone thinks I'm a photographer somehow. But yeah, that's just that small little article on how you wear stuff and what your thing is, and then Instagram out. It was really cool, really simple, but it's just one of those things where it's cool to be recognised and stuff, and have
100%.
people reach out to be like, hey, we think your style is dope.
Yeah.
Do you want to be featured with 11 other creatives? And I was like, of course, that'd be awesome. Yeah, that'd be sick.
Dope. I just want to give my take on kind of like the professional styling scene, because as a photographer, I am shooting a bit of commercial fashion, and the work that sort of pays well, it is more like very commercial stuff, like the bigger. It's mostly for shopping centers, is where like my work comes from. Like there'll be a shopping center, and inside that shopping center are different brands that have stores, and they style models with those brands, and then we do a shoot. And they always have a stylist who gets paid to source from the different stores and style. And is that something that you would want to do? Like,
it's always been on the table. There's always that commercial and then creative, like / creative. You can obviously do commercial stuff. You get pretty good money for that. And you get that comfort of having like a salary and stuff like that. Or you can move towards a more creative side. And I think there's a little bit more risk to that, but there's a lot more, you can get a little bit more from it. I don't really know what I would like to do, to be honest. I'm still super early with this type of stuff.
Yeah.
Still super early. But I've done a couple commercial things in my time for a couple stores and stuff like that. And it was a really good experience. There's definitely, like, I've done a couple music videos and stuff like that where, you're working with 100+ people on set and you learn so much about, I worked on a music video with Adrian, who's a upcoming, R&B singer.
Adrian Zuke.
Yeah, R&B singer in Perth, and that was awesome. Seeing all the massive cameras and seeing, getting your timing right with when you're going to style them, all that organisation was insane, and I never would have learnt that just by doing commercial shoots. I don't think I have that on my Instagram just yet. I still haven't posted it to come
Coming soon.
on Cowboy Calvin.
I saw it was dope though.
Yeah, it was awesome.
I feel like you got to showcase your creative flair there. It was a bit
was a bit out there.
70s, sort
Yeah,
of that
it was
vintage
flare pants.
style.
Yeah, flare pants and
So-
massive orange suit. I'm not the massive fan.
Where did
of
you
orange.
source that?
It was actually sourced by someone else. I just did the styling for the pants, the shoes, singlet jewelry and stuff like that. But normally, when you do commercial stuff, there is some. You don't really have to do much sourcing because normally it's always there. Kind of. It just depends. If you do like Myers or something like that, if you're styling for Myers, they've got all the stuff there, and you just have to style it. For music videos, I just did a music video for Brucey, and I had to source all that plus style him.
Yep.
So every job's different, and that's what I like about it. Every job is different, whether it's a photo shoot, video, like short film, any of that. Everything's always different, so you're always learning, and that's something I'm always about. I always want to learn more because, again, I'm not happy just by staying the same. I always want to learn
Yeah, you
and always
gotta
grow
just keep
myself.
growing, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
And then you've been to Melbourne, yeah? Because I like to talk about like what the scene over there is like in terms of maybe being a stylist over there and also like the fashion scene. So how is that different from Perth?
I think Melbourne, as a lot of people say, Perth is a couple of years behind. But creatively, Melbourne is a lot more fluid. There's a lot more going on there with a bigger population. There's more singers come out of there. It's just a massive creative field, and I think a lot more money gets put into that.
Yeah, for sure.
Being from WA, it's a very much like it's basically like a farming kind of thing, like from where it all started.
Yeah.
It's a very Australian thing. Being from WA, it's like beers
We're just
and stuff.
yeah. I think we're just obviously isolated.
Yep.
So a lot of people compare us to like a country town in terms of
Basically.
like comparing us as a city to other places.
Yeah.
So that's sort of why we're a little bit behind. But I think maybe with social media we're like getting
We're catching up for
coming up.
sure. We're catching up. There's some amazing people in Perth, 100%. And there's some incredible people in Melbourne as well. Melbourne is just a lot bigger. There's a lot more stores.
They have their own fashion week.
Hey?
Melbourne has their own fashion week.
They have Fashion Week and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
true.
They have Acne Studio stores and stuff like that. The biggest store
yeah,
we have
yeah,
is
yeah.
a Gucci store. Do you know what I mean? They have Balenciaga stores. That opens up. There's just a bigger market over there. Just like in any industry, there's a bigger market somewhere else.
Yep.
Or like that type of stuff. But it is really cool, and I can't wait to go over and meet so many people that I've met through social media, friends that have come over to Perth and I've met. But yeah, there's definitely a lot more job opportunity there.
Yeah.
But I think when you're just first starting off, try and conquer Perth first.
Yeah, I think that seems to be your skill, man. Just like connecting, like sending DMs and collaborating and like putting out sort of like free work.
Yeah, of course.
And just getting yourself out there
You
like
have
that.
You have to drop your ego with that type of stuff. It's very easy to be like, I'm not going to send that DM. Like they're going to think I'm weird or something like that.
Yeah. Shoot your shot.
You have to shoot your shot, especially in this type of stuff. It's not just going to come to you. Like, it's not going to come to you at all. You have to work for it, and you have to. And I'm all about collaborating people. So it makes it easier when you collaborate people. They know other people and stuff like that. Shoot your shot.
100%.
If you're messaging that girl or guy, shoot your shot.
Hey, that's what it's about. Shooting your shot.
You have to shoot your shot.
100%. And any sort of final advice for people who maybe there could be students or sort of younger people getting into styling and like that sort of thing? How do you start? How do you kind of overcome maybe other people judging you if you're getting into fashion scene and they might see it as weird, and like just how do you get yourself out there? And it's like a summary.
It's a big question. I'm not going to tell you because I'm going to gatekeep it. No. I think staying true to yourself is always the big thing for me. I've always stayed true to myself. Work with other people. Drop your ego. Just have trust in yourself, and definitely never be too harsh on yourself. It's a tough business. It's a tough world. Just be true to yourself, and you can make it 100%.
100%. Yeah, put yourself out there. Shoot your shot. Where can people find you, or if they want to maybe collab or get advice or work with you?
You can find me on Instagram, Cowboy Calvin _ My DMs are always open to any questions, stuff like that. If you want to work with me, send me a DM, super easy. I'm always open, so don't be afraid to hit me up.
100%. I will leave Calvin's and Francis's links and Instagrams and everything in the show notes. Boys, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
And